How's it going, everybody? Tall Tesla guy here. Finally, after what seems like the longest year in existence, we finally get to usher in 2021. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, you need to know where you're going to charge, right? Where are you going to charge the vehicle? Now, you can charge on a 110, a regular outlet. It comes with the plugs. It comes with the cord to charge it on a regular wall outlet. It's also got an adapter so you can charge it at things like plug share. And then, of course, if you go to a supercharger, you don't need any plug. You got to keep it in mind, though, that when you're charging on a 110, you're only going to get a maximum of 5 miles per hour of charge. Now, driving around town, that's going to be more than enough. So 60 miles a day on a 12-hour charge at a maximum of 5 miles per hour on a 110 outlet, you can get your 60 miles back. However, I wanted to plan for just in case I needed to jump in the car later on the day or want to go on one of those long road trips. So I installed a 240 plug in my garage, and that gives me about 29 to 30 miles per hour. So, think about that if you're not going to buy a Tesla wall plug. The second one is really about the range. Now, range anxiety is something that you think about up until you get the car, and then once you go on your first couple road trips, you're like, that's not a problem. Tesla is such an extensive supercharging network. They are everywhere you want to be. And then there's also other places that you can charge too, between plug share and charge point. And you can buy adapters for any possible charging situation you could come, even if you decide to take the car to Europe. However, the difference between the standard range Model Y is 240 miles versus the I guess long range now Model Y, which is 320 miles. Now that's a big deal, especially if you're going on long trips. So think about the range. It's almost like buying RAM for a Mac, right? You can't add it later on. You have to get it ahead of time in the beginning. So spend the money up front, get it, and then you'll be happier down the road. So the range thing, really kind of consider that and put that at the top of your list, especially with the Model Y, since it's a standard rate edition that came out. If you don't figure out how to use the frunk, make it work in your life, you'll never use it. In order to open it, you have to pull out the app and open it with the app. It takes an extra minute, or open it within the car. Most people are used to going to the trunk because where they came from with previous vehicles. It's just so much easier to open and close. You don't have to worry about denting and all that kind of stuff. But the more you use it, the better off you're going to be with it, or the happier you're going to be with it, and you're going to realize there's so much storage opportunity in there. Certain things like putting groceries in there, just to have extra space in the car. We have a baby in the back. You can kind of see the car seat there. So a lot of times we don't have the room for stuff, especially some groceries. So, you get things like that you can certainly use the frunk for. Now, we put pizza in there one time. I wanted to kind of test out. It perfectly fits a hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars. That way the car doesn't smell like pizza. That way we don't have hot pizza in our lap or in the seat, that kind of thing. The downside, though, it does not do anything to insulate in there. So I haven't tried it with ice cold stuff yet. I know they make coolers for it as well, but if you put a hot pizza in there, by the time you get home, that pizza will not be hot, right? So it's not a good insulator. Imagine it doesn't insulate for cold either, but it's a perfect size for a lot of stuff. But if you don't start using it, you never will. Is the charging cost, right? So the charging cost. Now, charging it at home, I charge at home all the time. You have to kind of figure that your electricity bill is going to go up. Now, we charge it nearly every night. In fact, it recommends it to plug it in every night. Now, we don't drain the battery down every day, so we're not charging completely every day or anything like that. We pay about 13 cents per kilowatt hour. But I'm noticing specifically with charging the Tesla at home, we're spending right about $15 to $20 a month. Just from that part of it, as far as I can deduct, $15 to $20 a month. So that's something that you got to kind of think about if you hadn't thought about that before. And it's not something that I thought about in the beginning. Not that I thought the electricity was free or anything like that. I just hadn't thought about it. Talking about the updates that the car gets, they come all the time. Every few weeks you'll get an update. Every couple of weeks you'll get an update. The car thankfully tells you exactly everything that it did to the car during the update. But one thing that I'm super excited about is that there's a potential for a heated steering wheel. Recently released images of heated steering wheel option, which gives me the indication that they may be able to add it to past vehicles through a software update, which is fantastic, and it's a super neat thing. They do come a lot though, so you want to make sure you're charged and connected to Wi-Fi. It was something to kind of get ready for and to anticipate a little bit, I guess. Hot and cold use of the car. Now, I do not live in a super hot climate. I know people live in like Arizona. I've lived there before. I know how hot it gets there. We live in Ohio. It is definitely not hot like that. Cabin conditioning in the morning is fantastic. It knows that I'm leaving at 8 o'clock because I set a departure for it, and every time we get in there in the morning, even though we park it in the garage, the car is ready to go. It's warm warmed up to 74 degrees, but kind of being prepared for it. So you're going to have a battery loss of about, I've figured it to be about 10% from regular driving, because we've got the radio on, the navigation, all that kind of stuff. And then you can add at least 10 to 15% more because it's cold. You know, I can just add about 10% to that, and it'll get me, you know, to give me a realistic estimate of what my range is going to be. So that's something to keep in mind, and something to just kind of put at the front of your mind, going back to number 4 or 3 where you're talking about the range that you need to get. So kind of think about that as well, you know, when you're going to be driving and when you're not going to be driving it. But ceramic and PPF coating, now there's a lot of like flat surfaces on the car. It's real aerodynamic, of course, but you can easily get rock chips. You can easily get you know, paint issues because of the design of the vehicle. I'm noticing the rocker panels on the side tend to kick up dirt to it. You know, the wheels will kick up dirt and hit them. There's little bulges out in the back where the rear wheels are that tend to catch rocks as well. And then you want to protect it. It's not the cheapest car and not the most expensive either, but you want to do things to protect it. So we did the ceramic coating, we did the PPF coating on it. It was, or PPF on the front for rock chips, and ceramic coating all over, just to help protect it when we wash it, all that kind of stuff. And when we're driving around, it helps the water bead right off it. Not completely necessary in that it'll drive if you don't do it, but it's one of those things, and it was an added cost of about $4,000. You know, we did it nonetheless. I love the way that it cleans. It's super easy to get the mud and the dirt off because of the ceramic coating. The PPF is helping the front. We took a rock to the PPF not too long after we put it in there. I'm glad it was on there because it protected it from denting and scratching, which was nice. And then this next thing is, you know, center console wrap. Now we went with the clear because we don't mind the gloss, which I'm glad we did, because we get fingerprints all over it. And I'm glad that we're able to kind of wash them off or wipe them off a little bit, which is nice. And then also a screen protector. I never even thought about that. However, I saw a video of some guy bought his you know, backpack in the car, and he had a buckle on there. It hit the screen and cracked it, but it's cracked his screen protector, not the screen, which is fantastic because these are not cheap to replace. So it's something that I hadn't thought about ahead of time. That's definitely something like I said, you can buy them too. In fact, there's links down at the bottom where some of these accessories that I got there too. So, and then the final thing I wanted to kind of talk about is curb rash. It's a silly thing to think about just because I never got it in my other cars, but apparently with a Tesla, and I did measure it, the wheels extend about 1 millimeter over 2 millimeters over the edge of or under the edge of the rim, which is, you know, kind of odd, since like in my gas vehicle, they don't do that. So, you know, I don't have to worry about hitting the curb, or as much anyway. And then I think it has something to do with the turning radius a little bit, because we were going through a drive-through at a Starbucks and caught the back rear passenger tire rim, unfortunately, on the side of the curbing, and it did that, and it scratched up the rim. And you know, it's not a big issue. I sanded it out and, you know, put some nail polish on and fixed it up, which was great. You can't really see it unless you're looking for it, but it was something that, you know, brought it right to the front of our mind to say, hey, we got to be super, super careful for no reason, going in and out of drive-throughs, curb areas, parking on the street, stuff like that. People have curb rash all the time, and it seems like it's a common problem with the Tesla. I can't discount completely that it has anything to do with my driving, because I'm sure it does, but it seems like it's a common thread. So, you know, that was just 10 things that I wanted to kind of throw out there. You know, in hindsight, you know, coming up on 6 months of having the vehicle, you know, some of the things that we've experienced, some of the things that were important, some of the things that weren't. I will say, we absolutely love the vehicle. I've loved it from the beginning. I've been a super big fan of the car, and then getting it never changed that. It just made it kind of instilled even a little bit more. So it's been fantastic, and we love it. And the little things that we've had to kind of work through haven't been major issues. So hey guys, you know, if you made it this far in the video, hit that like button. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, think about subscribing. I really appreciate everybody that watched through that has subscribed already. You know, hope you guys are having a fantastic year. Hope you guys are having a fantastic week, day, month, everything like that.